Each week, her dazzling design and talent and great sense of humor makes her an audience favorite. She's an award-winning graduate of Ryerson University's renowned interior design program. Jane has more than 18 years of experience as an interior designer. As the principal designer for her firm, Jane Lockhart Interior Design, and her talented design team specialize in corporate branding with a focus on designing impressive residential and commercial interiors for very discerning clientele. Jane's interior design work appears regularly in a variety of national and regional Canadian publications, including Canadian Living, Style at Home, Reno and Decor, and Vancouver's Home and Living. You'll find Jane appearing on City TV's Breakfast Television and CBC's Steve and Chris Show. Jane's best-selling book, Room Recipes, Cooking Up Style with Color, demonstrates how anyone can create a personal style from the fabric of their lives. She travels across Canada and the US, appearing as a keynote speaker at major home and design shows, yet she always finds time in her busy schedule for her favorite charities. Some of them are near and dear to many of us. Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, Sick Kids Hospital, Heart Music for Ovarian Cancer, Hats On for Awareness, yay, for CAMH, Toronto's Casey House, Ronald McDonald House, and the World Wildlife Fund. I give you Jane Lockhart.
Thank you. Always a bit awkward just saying, it always sounds so funny when someone reads about you. It makes it sound a lot better than you actually really are. Anyway, it's a really quite an honor. Thank you, Bonnie, for inviting me. It's very nice. I always feel awkward when I talk about what I do, but I'll tell you a little bit about who I am. I made notes on my way in the car, but then I realized, okay, why am I writing down my life? I should know this off by heart. It shouldn't be that hard to remember. Anyway, I'll try to keep it to my time, my 10 minutes, because I know you people all really have things to do. Anyway, I am actually an interior designer. I studied interior design. Initially, I went to U of T to do economics and realized, well, they wanted me to leave. So it was so much like ballet in grade 2. Really have no musical talent, no dance talent, zero sports talent, and when I was very young, and I still am, dyslexic, and have a lisp, I know, and my mother gave me a bowl cut, so I really couldn't do a lot, but spend a lot of time alone, so I always drew, and it's true, it's a sad case. So I ended up drawing and doing artwork alone for 18 years, so I ended up an interior designer, because I don't really have to have a lot of skills, as it turns out. I live in a somewhat shallow world compared to the rest of you. Having said that, I'm very fortunate in that I work with great people. When I graduated from Ryerson, it was during the recession of, what was that, the 80s, right? So I walked around and knocked on all the doors and said, well, here I am, you know, ready. And they're like, that's great, we don't need you. Anyway, so I ended up working for this company called Benjamin Moore, who I thought was the Moore paper people. So I didn't know that they were a paint company, because at the time, it was over 20 years ago, they didn't advertise. Benjamin Moore was a very male-dominated company, because not just because of them, but because the paint industry was. The perception in the paint industry was that it was hardware, and you bought it at the hardware store. So it was the men who went in and got the paint and then came home and did all the painting work, and we know that's not true, don't we? We know that's a big giant lie. That in fact, that does not happen. Men are not allowed in the paint store without a note from their wives. How do you know that? Oh yes, he's allowed to pick the ceiling paint. That's all we allow though, but you know, we tint ceiling paint today, so no. Nonetheless, so when I started working there, I was lucky enough to work there, and my boss, some of you may know, is Leslie Harrington. If you ever watched City Line, way back in the 80s and 90s, she was really a revolutionary in getting Benjamin Moore to understand that it's really women who make the decision at home. It is not men. And when it comes to anything to do with the home, really women should make the decision, not men. And I was very fortunate to work with her, and she really pushed Benjamin Moore to see that there was more out there, and that color was really a major factor in the development of decisions around home. And I was lucky enough to then continue doing research in the area because I was really interested in it relative to the category. Anyway, I began at Benjamin Moore by sweeping the floors for 3 weeks for nothing, and then managed to move up to the design department. And so that was my 4th week there when they gave me a project and I got to design a store because I was doing corporate design. And of course it was the early 90s, late 80s, so there really wasn't a lot of store plans to do. But Leslie said to me, as a junior, she said, I have to leave, design this store, and I need it by tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, does she not know I don't know anything? I'm not qualified. I just got out of school. I really don't know anything. Remember, I spent a lot of time alone, so I don't really shop. So I don't know how you make a store work. Anyway, the good news is it happened, and I learned a lot from her, other than the people from accounting came in after they priced the plan, which is often how it goes. You do the design, the financial people price it, you're a tender to a contractor, and then they go back and forth to see, let's take this out, let's put this back relative to the price. Well, the accounting people came back to me and they said, what are you, some kind of idiot? You don't put halogen lighting in a paint store. And I was like, I am an idiot, that's a good point. And it was really from there for 20 years that I had to learn in design that, well, for the most part, we make mistakes and have to learn really quickly how to fix them. Design is really a negotiation. There's never one right answer. I always remind people, design of your home, for instance, is like buying a wedding dress. You buy it off the rack to some extent, but it always has to be altered. And as we know, those alterations take a long time to be customized. So it's been a really interesting journey while I was at Benjamin Moore, and I had a wonderful time there, an excellent company, and they trained their staff wonderfully. They did not fire people even though it was a recession at the time. I got to work in their lab, which was a whole other issue. I think they were glad when I left because I damaged a lot of things. Anyway, so I'm not overly skilled in that area as it turns out either. Anyway, the fun part was Leslie, because she'd broken the ice with television, ended up working with Lynette Jennings, whom some of you may remember. Do you remember Lynette? Yeah. Lynette was a very well-known Canadian author and television personality who really was doing the same thing as Martha Stewart was doing in the United States at the same time. The only difference is because Lynette was here, she didn't have the financial backing or the corporate backing that Martha Stewart had in the US. So it was really just luck of the draw that one went and the other one didn't. Anyway, she and Leslie worked together. They both created really great projects. And when Leslie went to the States or wasn't available, CBC called and said, you know, we need someone else to come on to Lynette's show. Benjamin Moore, can you send someone? So them being all men, basically over 50, were like, well, we're not doing that. We don't even know what we're talking about. Decorating? No, no, no. But there's that girl down in the corner office, the one that we had in the lab and had to take her out. Go grab her and tell her to go. She'll go do it. And so I remember them coming in, the PR people saying to me, well, you have to go do, you have to go on CBC tomorrow. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm a real designer. I don't do TV. So they basically said, well, then you will be a real unemployed designer by tomorrow if you don't go and do TV. So I went and did it, and that is honestly how I started in television. I'm, obviously, by most standards today, I'm not tall, not beautiful, not naturally blonde, and I do wear glasses. So I'm really not on the resume of people who get selected for television shows. However, I'm fortunate enough to have spent those 18 years alone in my room gathering skills. And in Canada, they're absolutely impressed by skills. One thing, this is kind of funny, this is like anecdotal, like this, it was 2 years ago, I moved into a new place, and you bought up plans and you wait for it to come from the builder. So I waited and waited, and when they finally got in there, and they had a cocktail party for all the people, you know, who joined, and come there, and you go, you meet everyone, and you stand on the floor, and you talk to people. So I'm talking to my neighbors, I'm like, oh, they're nice, I like them, it's good, I haven't made a fatal error moving in here. And this woman comes running up to me, and she's like, oh my God, I am so excited. W Network, I love W Network. It's like my favorite network. It has all my favorite shows on it. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. Can you introduce me to Candace Olsen? Oh my God, I absolutely love her. And that's one of those things that I just think is so funny, because I'm like, of course I can. understand. That's no problem at all. You don't even know who I am, do you? And that's just Canadian television, right? It's sort of fun. So our show is sold into the United States. Color Confidential, as Canadians, I think it's always nice to know that although we don't control much of the world, we do, a little, to people like you, of course. You're all doing an excellent job. However, we do control the world through color, because it's sold down into the United States, so that they pick what we pick, because we tell them to. And I think that's quite fabulous. It's also sold into most of the English-speaking nations in Canada. And I think that's kind of in the world. So New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, places like that. So it's done very well. We don't get anything for it, but I think it's very interesting that Canadian broadcasting is accepted as one of the best pieces of information around the world. People really want to know what Canada does and how we do it. So I think that's something to be very proud of. What happens, most of us don't think that we actually produce very good television. That's just simply not true anymore. Canadians do produce excellent television. So I do television as well as run a design firm in Toronto. It's run by all women because they're excellent. My business increased tremendously once I got out of the business part of the business. And yeah, it's really true. And just stuck to drawing. So that's really what I do. I do the client side, the client management, and basically a little bit of sales and marketing. But by and large, I have other really, really smart people who work with me who really make the business go. I've been very honored and blessed to live in this country, number one. That's part of my real belief, is that Canada is the best place in the world to live. I really believe that. And number two, and it's probably my philosophy, and anyone who knows me knows this, I'll wrap up by saying that the thing that I believe the most is we have to help those who are less fortunate, because there's always someone more fortunate and always someone less. So no matter what you do, my shallow business included, we try as much as we can to support people where we can, because we've been so lucky, and we're in a country that allows us to do that. I think that really, really matters. And the second thing is, we always do something called throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. The idea is you might as well just try it once. It may be a colossal failure. Well, you're never going to know if you don't try. So we really try that in design. We'll try all sorts of different things to see if it goes. We'll go and do a seminar for something. Well, we did the vagina monologues a few years ago. We were part of that. Things like that are really interesting opportunities. And that's what I think is so great, that we're blessed with the opportunity to do that. And the last thing is, I believe in the goodness of people, that collectively people will always do the right thing. And even though it seems like we're going down the wrong path, we always find the right answer somehow. And I believe those three things always keep me going. And I think that's why I'm lucky enough to be here to spend the time with you guys tonight. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.